I saw Robert just posting Keybase that he's planning on doing a live stream. I reached out to him. I have not heard back, but regardless, one of our guys is also setting it up. So, is Robert on the call right now? Do we have Robert here? Oh, yeah, Robert just confirmed. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Robert.
Typing, please mute yourself. Super loud.
Hey guys, just want to let you know I've already started live streaming, so this is being broadcast right now. Whatever you're saying.
Want to drop the link in the chat for everyone, Kedar? Make sure the community has it.
Sure.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, is someone going to record the Zoom call just in case the live stream dies?
So I just launched the recording, so we'll have that.
I see the recording button up there.
Sweet, excellent.
Great. So shall we start? I think we have.
Yes.
Excellent. So we have a packed agenda today. So let's try to be as efficient as possible as per usual, and I'll try to do as good of a job as Mark usually does in those meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a little addition this morning. Bancor proposed to maybe do a little Q&A on how RAM trading works and maybe answer some of our questions that we might have. LiquidOS also proposed themselves to be doing a roll call and also to be taking the minutes for this call. So,
hey guys,
yep.
Sorry, just to get the roll call in. Same protocol as usual. If everyone can just drop their BP name and their rank in the chat, and we'll get recorded. We'll get recorded. Eyal, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Matthew, should we get started with Eyal, or do you want to say something else beforehand?
No, let's start off.
Okay, so guys, just so you know, Eyal is
roll call. Translate the roll call.
I missed that. I'm sorry.
就是说，大家现在要按顺序把自己的排名大概写一下。
So, just a brief introduction for those who don't know. Eyal is one of the co-founders and the product architect of Bancor. So, we'll explain a little bit about the process, and then whoever has any questions can feel free to ask. Eyal.
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Yeah, Al.
Yeah, we
can hear you.
Welcome.
So very excited to be speaking for the first time in this forum.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fascinating to watch everything that's happening. Now I want to start with a disclaimer. I'm the one that kind of worked on the Bancor formula, and I can probably do a good job explaining how that works. And I kind of understand the RAM mechanism, because I learned from Dan. But this is a mechanism that kind of he designed in terms of how to make sure that you cannot make capital gains with it, and the specific of how you can protect yourself from different attacks or different scenarios are questions that might be best suited to ask the original designer of that system. So I just hope that I can help the group with my current understanding of things, and and if we need to take it further, we can definitely do that. Okay, so the first thing to kind of consider is really the Bancor protocol and what it means. And the Bancor protocol is essentially alternative liquidity mechanism. There are over 100 tokens today traded on Bancor.network, and these tokens are essentially all ERC20 tokens as well as Ether itself. But the way that they are traded is not using the existing models of bid and ask, but using what we call smart tokens. And we have like two models that can be used. The model that is often used in the Bancor networks is called token relay, and the model that we use on some of the tokens is called liquid token. And the difference between them is that token relay is like a basket of holding two tokens and allow conversion between them, where every conversion changes the price, and it holds like 50% of the value in one token, 50% in the second one. But the other mechanism is the mechanism that's used in BNT itself, which is essentially a token that hold reserve in another currency. In the case of BNT, it hold reserve in Ether. And the reserve is always 10% of the market cap of the token. And market cap is the price in which you can buy the token and sell the token at any point, which actually makes it a token with dynamic supply. Now, the supply does grow when you buy the token, but to give you kind of some magnitude, if the token price doubles relative to the Ether, and the token price goes in 100%, then about roughly 8% more will be issued to the supply. So, and that is a factor that is determined by the reserve ratio that you have. So you can have a reserve ratio of 1%, of 5%, of 10%. Some tokens use 3%, some tokens use 1%. We use 10% in BNT. Essentially, as the number is bigger, you have more liquidity relative to the market cap. So, if you buy BNT right now with $1 million, you barely move the price. You move it up, but you barely move it. Now, this mechanism was adapted to manage the RAM in EOS in order to make sure that that you can sell more RAM and you can let people reserve more RAM than you have in existence. And in order to essentially encourage people to release RAM that they don't need, and essentially to determine the market price to the RAM, to get to the point that the RAM has a market price, which would assure that if you need RAM, you can buy it on a fair market price, and it will be utilized to the highest extent on the system. And the way that it's different from how Bancor usually works is that, from what I understood, when you're buying RAM, you can only sell it back in the same price that you bought it. Now, just like any other token on exchanges even, but definitely with Bancor protocol, anyone that buys more of the token is increasing the price. So as people buy more, the price is increased. But when you release it, essentially, you are just getting what you paid. And that's how it's different from Bancor protocol, because the idea is not to allow people make capital gains on RAM. So this is kind of the overview I can share. And if there are any specific questions, I'll be happy to kind of hear them, and hopefully I can answer.
I guess my first question, Eyal, is: does it look to you as if the Bancor algorithm and the RAM trading market is working as you intended? I just want to make sure there's no issue with that, and that it looks fine and healthy to you.
So again, it's not as I intended. This is a mechanism that was designed by
Sure. Disclaimer: as intended.
Sorry, as intended.
And to be honest, I think this is the kind of mechanism that takes time to kind of judge in general, and I think it is harder to make a formalized opinion about it at the phase that we barely have any dApps using the RAM at this point. So I would say I would give it some time to see if the dynamics forms as Dan Larimer imagined that they would. But I would love to hear if there is something that you think that is happening now that is not perhaps optimal. And I would love to get into that and maybe discuss that on some of the following calls. But if you spot something that seems odd.
Hey, Eyal, thank you. Do you have, I guess, a recommendation for how long we should observe this RAM market and collect data so that we can make a better informed decision on whether or not this is working as intended? Or, because I recognize Bancor has been live on Ethereum for quite some time. So can you give us a sense of those sorts of historicals so that we could at least benchmark or figure out the duration that we should be, or time box that we should be observing this in?
So Bancor has been live more than a year now. BNT, this actual mechanism was first came to mainnet 10 days after our own ICO in June 24th. And it's been working wonderfully, but for the use case that we have in Bancor, which is essentially it's a liquidity source for the token, in addition to all the exchanges that trade BNT, and it working beautifully. We're very happy with it. However, we don't have the mechanism that only allow you to sell the token in the same price that you bought it.
I don't think we have that either. Sorry to interrupt you. That was an idea early on. Now you actually sell for market price. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, currently it's sold by the market price. It's not really sold by the original buying price.
And therein lies the problem with speculation.
Mm-hmm. So maybe the information that I have is not up to date, because when was that change?
I believe that was the original when we went live with the mainnet. I don't think anything has changed in the protocol from RAM.
No, I was actually, I was basing my analysis on what I heard directly from Dan Larimer in his talk about the subject. But
around May 15th or so, he announced this.
It was changed 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Yeah, prior to the launch of the mainnet, I was there at Block 1 when it was changed.
Yeah. So that's put a whole, and the reason for changing it was
uncertain.
Was stated.
From my understanding, the reason was to encourage people to liquidate their RAM that is being unused. So if I buy it at 1 EOS per megabyte, let's say, and now the price is 2 EOS for that megabyte, and I'm not using it, I'm incentivized to now liquidate it. So I create my own liquidation in the market.
Yeah.
The issue that we're running into, and I'm curious from you, Eyal, is right now there's basically 3 states of RAM. There's the total RAM supply, there's the RAM that's being used, and then there's the RAM that's being speculated. So currently we see 64 gig supply, 1 gig being used, and about 38 gigs or so from last night when I checked that is being speculated with. Is there a way to incorporate the amount that's actually being used into the Bancor algorithm to determine price?
Yes, definitely, because you can essentially control the reserve ratio. The reserve ratio can be updated, and when you do that, essentially you are changing the price of the token. So essentially you can and you can do that over extended periods of times, which makes it works really well with free markets. So for example, let's say you have a target that you're reaching for, and you want to increase the price or decrease the price through that time, because you want to kind of create incentives to buy and incentives to sell relative to the RAM that is being used, then you can kind of change the reserve ratio, let's say over a period of a month or a week or whatever you choose, very gradually, like almost in every block. And that would actually take the price to wherever you want it to be taken.
So, Eyal, what you're saying then is we almost need to have like a Federal Reserve kind of a group that would make changes to the system contract over time in order to be able to have quantitative easing or whatever of the RAM marketplace.
That you need a board, because if you have a target number, that you're aiming for, and that target number is for example the usage of the RAM, and you want to you can build automatic mechanism that would target the price toward that goal. So I think that perhaps there is a way to do that fully automatic and fully algorithmic, but I don't want to say too much at this point, because given that I understand the problem better, and maybe if I had the time to kind of go through all the endless threads in the groups, I would understand it sooner. So I apologize, because we're really busy here building Bancor, but this is a super fascinating topic that I'll gladly look into, and I think that if there's any solution that I can provide in order to take into consideration the potential speculation and the price dynamics, then I'll be happy to look into that and present it. But now that I understand the problem better.
Wonderful, thank you.
Sounds good.
I have a question. So I'm pretty sure that I think that we're on the same model as the Ethereum deployment. It's just the supply is a little different. So instead of having right now for here, we have 64 gigs of supply. But on the Ethereum one, you might have a million or whatnot, a larger supply. So I think the effect is still the same. You still sell on market price, except for our scenario, we have a smaller amount of supply. That's why the price is increasing at a higher rate.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are using the same algorithm and same implementation. It's just the supply and the numbers are slightly different.
Which makes sense. But there is a layer that can be put on top of a smart token like that, a Bancor smart token, in order to influence its price and behavior. And we're seeing a lot of examples in that are in the works. Not many are already live and released, but this allows greater level of flexibility regarding what you can automatically do with the token. So I would just look into that specific set of issues and see if we can come up with some mechanism that will self-adjust the mechanism, and I will suggest it to the entire group.
Perfect. Yeah. So I think just to clarify, the implementation is the same. It's just the parameters that we put in are different, and those could be tweaked, with suggestions and recommendations.
Yeah, definitely. I understand.
Yeah, that would make the difference. All right.
Great. I have a question regarding, just follow up to the question on the Dennis. What kind of time frame are we looking at? So
I don't think I'll be doing that decision, but I think
not you. But following up to what you asked to Eyal at Bancor, just looking at the time frame that you'll be looking into the problem per se.
When is the next meeting?
Monday.
Monday will be ready.
That's
wonderful.
Great.
Thank you, Eyal.
Of course.
Related to that, do we have a target price for RAM? Because I think that is a really important thing that factors into this, correct?
Yeah, that's kind of the missing piece.
We can't aim for a target if we don't know what it is. And so I'm just wondering, how do we come about deciding that? What process are we going to use?
So, again, it's not like I can give a definite answer right now, but I think that one of the things that is the most important input value is the usage of the RAM, the actual usage. And I think that incorporating that somehow is where the solution lies.
Yeah, the problem we have right now is that because of the number of people actually doing apps, you can spoof that you're actually using apps. There are very few actual applications as opposed to Ethereum where there are thousands. And so that's probably the difference that we're having right now. So we should continue to have that conversation, but we've got that a fairly full agenda. So
I would suggest we go straight to number 2 item, which is the upgrade to 1.07. Alex, do you want to take this or someone else?
Okay, there's a few things. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
There's actually 2 things. There's the upgrade to 107. And yesterday I proposed that we all send a small message to the forum contract as a mere practice. When we have upgraded to 107, I'm going to punch the Kleos sample command in the channel. Okay, so I'm going to put that in the Zoom chat and also in Telegram. Okay, so with a thing like that, we could all sort of say that we upgraded. And so the tally, in this case, it's not a critical security issue, but if it is, at some point, we might want to send a small string that says we did upgrade. Like in this channel, we say, okay, post hello or pickle, and then we know we upgraded. So the tally is going to be a lot easier. Does that make sense?
Did you paste that already? I'm not seeing it.
So I put that in the Zoom chat, and also I just pushed it in the Telegram.
Haven't shown yet.
You might have sent a private message on Zoom chat.
Oh,
yeah, we're not seeing it.
Easy to do that. Very easy.
Bad. There you go. Sorry. Okay. Right now, it's on EOS Forum Test, which is Igor who pushed that one. It's a copy of the forum, really, but it's not an account that is owned by the BP group. I think we should, send to account there. So I think the proposal would be that we use eosio.forum and that it is owned by this group and delegated its authority to eosio.prods. So if you want to upgrade it or change it, it doesn't rely on one person that just happened to have created the account there. I know I talked about that already. So let's have that, and then let's have a few tools that can do the tally. Okay, if we can all do that during this call, that'd be great. And the second thing is the system contract. Sorry, go ahead.
There's no proposition in the action. Is that correct? Because that seemed to be different from what I sent.
Yeah, so this is not a vote. This is just you sending out that your BP has upgraded. It's a post. It's a message.
So you want us to upgrade during the call, or we can just do that later?
Yeah. So if you have not upgraded, I just want to say that this upgrade has been dragging its feet. There are some security fixes in there. There are a few things we needed to upgrade. It's been 2 days now, almost. So I think we should be diligent into seeing those upgrades. And I have not seen a proposition. I'm working on that right now to have a transaction to upgrade the system contract, because there's a system contract upgrade that we need to do. So the Node.js thing, you're on your own. And once it's done, I would like to see that message flowing through. And now it's not, I want to put that a requirement. It's just that it would be a test for us. When there's a critical security upgrade, we will want to be sure that the top 21, top 50 have implemented it, right? And it's really annoying right now to score all the people and tell them, did you upgrade, did you not upgrade? They would say they upgraded through a special message on chain.
Yeah, the reason, for example, we didn't, the reason why we didn't upgrade to 107 is that we didn't, in my mind, my understanding was we should have had this call beforehand to avoid what happened with this 104. So I'm not sure if we decided something otherwise, but I think that since what we could do is that we should use your system to have a quorum people that say, okay, this upgrade is fine, let's do it, and then everyone else can confirm it.
Okay, good idea. Like when we reviewed or reviewing, when the thing gets out, we could post a small message reviewing and then apply it or something like that. or not applied or holding off, right, for further discussions. And that rapidly we could have a discussion together as to why we would be holding off. Maybe you want to give a bit more information as to what happened 104 and why we should hold off?
Oh, well, I was referring to the fact that, it was 2 Saturdays ago when basically the network stopped. Didn't we have a problem with 104 because someone upgraded to that? Or I completely missed the point.
No, that wasn't a problem.
So I don't think it's similar. Minnie, maybe you want to say without feedback?
Question for the group. Would it
Who is
be
talking? That
simpler?
name there is not a valid name. Who was talking?
This is Roman from Crypto Alliance.
Okay.
All right. Let me post the question and then I'll rename it. I think I have to reconnect to rename it.
No,
but would it be simpler to have nodes just broadcast their version and have these different trackers and monitors just post that information? It seems like it requires fewer steps. I know some people prefer to patch instead of formally upgrade the version, but if we're as an alternative to sending the upgrade to the contract, would it be simpler to just have your node broadcast a version number and that's collected and advertised by all the trackers?
How does a node broadcast a version number?
I think you can configure Cleos to report any version you want. By default, it broadcasts the correct one.
Yeah, but broadcast is a different story than just report, right? Broadcast means sending out something. This proposition is to send out something so that it's visible. The BP node is not accessible. At least ours is not accessible. So you can't reach it, so you can't know.
Right. You can only know the public endpoint.
If you're in full. Right. And I think the aspect in some situations, we'll be forced to do that. It's going to be like a very hidden patch. It's going to be a security upgrade. And we won't want to report a changed version, but we want to know if things have moved, right?
So can you help us to tell us how we view that data? Like who else is posted? And
right.
I haven't looked at that yet, and I haven't seen anything about it. I don't know where you're posting, but it seems like the upgrades channel or general, or maybe I'm missing it.
Yeah, for the forum, I had built a small listener. So essentially it would just listen on that account, and then anytime there's a message, it would just save it, and then we could upload it as a CSV, a JSON, whatnot. But we would have to kind of build a listener on that account and then almost broadcast that, because right now nothing is stored in RAM. So they're just messages going through.
It have to be up all the time, right now.
Yeah. You would have to, it could be like a WebSocket. We can kind of create a little WebSocket that, we can pull from, but that would be an off-chain sort of application.
Yeah. That's almost ready.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's several.
Today, but it's almost ready.
Okay, so there's several good suggestions for how to make sure that find out what everybody's upgrade status is. And right now it turns out that 107, not everyone is upgraded. So I like Alex's suggestion and the add-ons to that, just so that there is some uniform way of finding out where everybody is.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not quite complete yet, right? So
yeah.
So we're like Alex said, we're just testing right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of and it's off topic for what we to get the solution. We definitely need a solution, but right now it's off topic we're just trying to find out if people have or have not upgraded to 107.
So, okay, that's more or less the case. This is an exercise to start having data to start building the tools, right? So if we have people saying they have 0, they're going to look for the output of that. We're going to write the tools. The tools are going to be shared because we're going to sort of graph, right? When people move when you graph things. So if we see the list of people saying they did upgrade, then the tool is going to be written and we can use the tool, and it's sort of bootstrapping the whole thing for when we have an emergency. And right now it might not be, but it's an exercise.
Great. I just want to mention,
although there are
I just want to mention really quick the Cleos command. I think we need to add the other variables as empty strings. So right now, maybe you could, it's a system. It says the ABI is not compatible or something.
But can you Can you put a valid command there?
Yeah, I'll spin one up, or maybe someone else already has one. I'm just adding right now all the empty fields.
It has to be completely filled out.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I use EOSC, which has a forum endpoint now.
We should move on, though, guys.
Yep. Sounds good.
Next agenda item, the video release confirmation. I don't know who wanted to. I think it's a proposal by Josh.
Well, we're being live streamed right now, so everything's good to go, and it's the problem is resolved.
Sorry, guys. Could I make a brief translation?
Yes.
Yeah.
OK. 刚才是那个首先是 Bancor 的人过来讲了一下 Bancor 的算法，然后那个还有就是 RAM 的这个事情，但是好像也并没有达成什么共识，或者说大家要决定去升级 RAM。然后第二个事情就是那个BP upgrade 到 1.0.7， 然后那个 Alex 做了一个那个合约，对，然后大家 update 了之后，其实可以在那边 push 一个 action 过去，然后发个 message 过去，说我升级了
没升级，有三种嘛，一种是说我升级了，一种说是我还在 review， 或者说是或者我说我觉得就不想升，因为有什么问题，然后大家再回来看有没有什么问题。然后关于 Bancor 呢，我补充一下，就是其实他们是想设置一个这种就是 target price， 但是我觉得这个东西还要再考虑，就我们下线之后再来讨论这个问题吧，就是是不是到一个价格我们要么就增，要么或者说我们就是利用平准来增加这个东西。然后 David Moss 说这样的话其实有点类似于联储局，就是我当觉得它的利率超过一定值的时候，我们就开始跳出来做闭门会议说怎么样。然后 Bancor 说其实也不是这样的，然后大家说那你觉得应该用多久来看这个市场，但是其实也还是没有达成一个一致。到时候就大家有这种在投资或者说在这种平准上面有经验的，大家可以利用一个小群再来讨论说我们怎么来控制 RAM 的这个价格。有人提出来说就是它的买卖价格应该是无论你什么价格买的都必须用什么价格卖，那这样的话就变成市场限价，就会导致就是大家拿了之后就不愿意卖。但是我刚才也没有想好什么太好的一个解决方案，所以我们如果这个老猫的同学咱们一块儿哪天可以讨论一下这个问题，然后中国这边可以考虑出来一个新的问题，达峰应该也在，我们可以到一块儿来讨论一下这个问题。
OK，
好，就这样，好，谢谢。
他刚才讲的有一点就是，其实确实没有达成什么共识，因为 Bancor 那个等于是发明 Bancor 算法的 EO， 他说他之前的认知是，他以为那个算法是有点不一样的，所以他得回去看一下。所以在这个会议是没有达成什么共识，但是一会儿会讨论。
对，其实还有两个信息要补充一下，一个就是 parameter， 刚刚那个 Dennis mention 到就是提到那个可能是我们之前的 initial supply 有点少，是第一点。第二点就是那个刚 Banker 那个 Avid 他讲，他会大概周一时候会给一个答复吧，然后是怎么样？对。
All good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue.
Excellent. Next agenda item: registered tokens update. I believe this is U.S. authority.
It's unregistered, I think.
Oh, sorry, unregistered.
Yeah, it's supposed to be unregistered.
No worries.
Okay, so there has been some progress with the unregistered token holders. Let me share my screen 1 second. There's actually a lot of work done by EOS Argentina. Do you want to take over EOS Argentina, or should I share my screen?
You can feel free. We'll be working with the EOS Canada and you guys and a couple of others.
Yeah, so they put together like a document. Can you let me know when everyone can see it? Yep, is it okay? Can you see it so far?
Nice. Not entirely legible to me. Some of the words can't be read, but I've already seen this
okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. So this is basically what happened is they put together a. Do you have a higher quality version, Argentina? Maybe I can. Okay, but essentially what happens is
someone's just pasted in the Google Doc link in the chat, so folks who want the high res should click on that link.
Yeah, let me do that.
It's high res, low res. So I just want to say EOS Argentina there has been doing an amazing job at fulfilling the promise of unregged. Hey, Nairobi, Peter, we're hearing your, I don't know. They're fulfilling the unregged promise, right? Filling in the contract what was designed for before that existed. So kudos to them.
Yes. So essentially, they managed to get everything on chain. So the input parameters are the Ethereum public address, the account name, and so on. And then, the system automatically assigns, moves all the tokens to that account name essentially. So all of this looks fine. There were just a couple of points that might stick out, but we're still reviewing the code. We have managed to set it up, and it looks okay so far. There is one part here about allocating RAM and who actually pays for RAM and things like that. That is the only part I feel we might have to clarify with the bigger team. But everything else looks like it's in order.
This does not fix contracts, right? Contracts can't sign because to sign, if you had a contract with, let's take that contract with 500K EOS, that contract can't sign with this Ethereum app because there is no private key for contracts. So money for contracts is still stuck.
Yeah, there'll need to be some other process for that, I imagine.
Yeah. With contract, there's going to be definitely some other process. So initially, there was a train of thought. The idea was to get things done on the get a MetaMask alternative, get signatures off on the Ethereum blockchain, and then do something. But I think that this is the alternate kind of a solution where everything is within the actual EOS blockchain. It doesn't require a lot of manual intervention. So there are two major classes of solutions here. I think the contracts, we might have to go down the other route, getting some manual intervention, and I would expect that to be larger amounts in most cases. But
could we have this one in higher resolution so we can read on it?
Yes. Have you someone shared the link so far?
Yes, the link is on the chat.
Oh, I see it. Thanks.
The idea of this contract is to do everything, automated. We use the Unreg contract of EOS Canada to, validate the accounts that need to be funded, and then we do like a mini boot process, like the same we did, but only for this 0.2% of accounts that were, unregistered. So we're still testing it on 1.07. Because 1.07 only came out 2 days ago. So I would suggest that people review this code. On the link, you can get the code of the Reg contract and our proposition and the diagram. And I think we can come to a solution in probably a week to propose this as the way to finish the process completely.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Shall we move to the next item? Is there anything else on this topic?
That was very good stuff, though. Thanks for the diagram and for the information.
Great. Then item 5, referendum smart contract update. I believe this is you, Alex.
No.
What's a collection of folks? Who else do we have?
Yes.
Yeah, Dennis, you start, whatever.
Or is Michael from EOS 42 on the call?
Right.
I guess it's you, Dennis.
I did not
go ahead.
I know Daniel. So there's a few moving parts on this. So I think the last call, we're going to have a UI for it. We're going to have Alex for the form. So essentially, with the same WebSocket type of style, is that we pull from a form. So we would define a voting schema, and when that form gets posted, say a vote for X proposal or vote for this change, we can use the forum that tracks at the protocol level all the messages. Then now we have a UI that essentially calculates those votes that gets tallied up from, let's say, block X to block Y. And then we can make decisions on those.
Yeah, so Dennis, I think we can give a little bit of an update on the progress made. Yep. So that's the technical solution. Well, yesterday there was a call with the folks from the Referendum Smart Contract channel. There's 50 person in there. The call was about 8 or 9 people. Yeah. And so we went through the forum proposals that we've seen together in this call Monday. And so people there also were adamant. They said, like, okay, we could use that. Let's try that. And so we would use that as the first version for a referendum. And we could start with something simpler, maybe, to have a vote in a sub-community or something, or within ourselves. And we would need to write the tooling to do the tally, which would be off-chain. And all the while, Michael Fletcher from EOS42 is continually working on a fully on-chain referendum contract, which might needs to be a lot more tested and solid, because once it's on chain, we can't really move it. Whereas with a more flexible solution like the voting on the forum, we can adjust things afterwards. We're not bound to things that are on chain. So that was the thinking. So right now we're probably going to move in that direction, and I'm soon going to offer a transaction to put the forum on an official account. And then hopefully if BPs are ready, they can vote for that. We'll have 15 out of 21, and that'll create the forum. And hopefully some tools are already written. Some tally algorithms are already written. Dennis, hopefully you have some written, all of the things, and a few other implementations too. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah. And as for progress, like I said, we're still in progress because we just had this call this week. Steve Floyd from EOS Tribe is working on the UI portion. So he's going to have a sketch. We're going to be dropping it in React components. I think Defang mentioned that he's going to help us with the internalization as well, so make it multilingual also as a front end. So we're going to multilingual front end, a React component sort of base, sketched out by EOS Tribe. And a few people will work on a back end and maybe making a snapshot tool so that we can count the votes as well. And then we have the next tiers as well, having the voting mechanism on chain in the future, but that requires a little bit more QA and QC on the smart contract side. But a lot of the tools that we're building for, let's say, even for this voting for upgrading 07, those tools can be reused. I think a lot of these mechanisms can be reused for multiple different purposes. Right now, it will be for the referendum, but they can be used for voting on worker proposals or voting on system upgrades. It can be voting on whatever the topic is. So we're trying not to pigeonhole the project a bit too much. We can have a general purpose voting mechanism on different subjects.
Yeah.
Can I just say something as well? Is on the smart contract Michael's been created. He's almost done, and
perfect.
We should do some testing, and then I think by the end of the week he'll have a working product. We just need to attach a front end to it, and then we can get some people testing it. Because I think long term it'll be good to have everything on chain, personally, because that's what a blockchain is for.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think there's a lot of review and testing. It's not just testing, but review, because the correctness of that thing cannot be altered after, right? So it needs to be cross-checked by a few people.
Of course, yeah, no, definitely. So we'll
and I'll be doing that for sure, but
yeah, once it's ready, we'll share with a few people. We can start doing some testing.
Excellent. Should we get this translated at this point?
Yeah, sure. 先讲一下刚才那个，先说的是那个 unregistered token 的问题是，EOS Argentina 他们有一个大家可以看一下那个 Google Doc 已经发到群里面了，然后它有一个流程图，然后基本上是基于原来 EOS Canada 做的那个 EOSIO.onReg， 然后那个它里面存了那个快照里面那些没注册的用户，然后它基本的一个原理就是它在这个 onReg 的这个升级一下这个合约，然后在合约里面 加了一个叫 reg account 的这个接口，然后呢，你传4个参数给它，一个就是当前的那个 US 网络的 lib 的一些参数，另外一个就是你用你的那个，就是这些没注册的用户用自己的以太坊的 private key 去签名的一个 message， 然后另外一个就是把以太坊的那个公钥，就是做第3个参数，然后第4个参数是因为你是 unregistered， 所以一开始没有给这些用户产生那个 US account， 然后你需要提供一个你想要的 US account， 然后这个 account 就是一个12个字符的，然后接下来的流程就是他会做一些校验，然后校验比如说你的那个公司钥是不是 match， 然后就是你的那个账户是不是在 unregistered 的用户里面，那个原来的那个合约里面，然后还有就是比如说你的 account name 是不是有重复，已经有其他人注册了在 US 那个链上，然后具体的话大家可以去看一下 US Argentina 在那个写的一个叫 ESL.claim 的一个项目里面，然后他做的所有的事情在那个流程图里面都画出来了。然后第二个事情就刚才讲的 referendum 的这个更新，其实现在有2个那个方案，一个就是USIO.forum 的一个方案，然后那个是 Alex 他做的，然后其实之前让大家在那个升级了那个合约之后，升级了那个版本之后发一个 message 也是那个合约，然后他这个 forum 是一个更加 general purpose 的一个东西，然后他是想在上面做 voting 的话，可以做一些 off chain 的一些统计，然后去得出最终一个结果。然后另外一个是 US42 他们提议的是完全一个 on chain 的一个合约，然后他们现在代码还没有公开出来应该是，然后他们说在测试了，然后到时候会把代码拿出来让大家 review 一下。然后达峰你能补充一下吗？因为 referendum 那边我没怎么跟这个
代码已经有了，也大家也可以看的，就是有一个 referendum 相关的一个 Telegram 的 group， 大家想关注的话可以去看。然后其实现在就是 contract 那边有2个方案，就刚刚赵宇讲的，然后现在有挺多人就开始在做前端这一块，包括这个一个好用的前端让大家可以投票，还有就是一个前端去做这个 tallying 的动作，这些都有一些人在参与了。那我和 Alan 就是 EOS 北京的 Alan 现在就在我旁边，然后我们2个就会去做这个国际化的这个界面，还有把它添加到做一个前端给它，有挺多人参与这个项目的，我就不具体一一列出来大家的名字，但是你如果感兴趣的话，或者你有一个投票工具啊，或者你自己做的一个这个浏览器工具，你想要加入这个 referendum， 把公投这个部分加到你的工具里面的话，你可以关注这个 referendum 的这个 Telegram group。
Great, thank you for this. Next agenda item, the Keybase group members update. I don't know who wants to cover this.
Yeah, there's no real update needed. It was adopted last time. Basically, we've been going through and starting to filter out and identify everyone. I've sent messages on Keybase to anyone who still needs identification. From there, once that's cleaned up, we'll look at making sure that the top 30 or 40 are for sure in there so that we have representation from every team. There's a little working group. All the admins, there's I think 9 of us who are taking care of this. It's being worked on and should be done within the week.
And I should add that Josh and the other admins have put together an excellent policy document setting out what the rule set is and how we admins will conduct ourselves.
I'll make that public today at some point on the channels. In case anyone
and thanks for your work on that, Josh. That's great.
Hi guys, can I just raise the question with regards to this? How like Blacklist. So if you're a block producer candidate and you declare today, you need to be kept up to date with Blacklist and security issues and things like that. Has that been addressed with regards to access to the Keybase group?
The thinking is if someone comes in and is below a paid producer, that the blacklist only affects people for the next week until the actual 15 of 21 signature is implemented. But in that interim time, if someone comes in today, the thought is they will not get immediate votes to jump right into the producers and screw up the whole blacklist. That's not a fear that's being seen right now. You can correct me on that if you feel.
Well, it is a possibility, isn't it, with what's happened last week? You know, if somebody dumps a whale vote on somebody that's just declared, they could jump straight into producer space and not have the right blacklist because they've not been able to get in the group. That's just what I'm thinking.
Well, that wasn't someone who's a brand new producer. That was someone who's sitting within the...
No, but just citing that as an example, it could happen, you know.
Yes, it definitely could happen in a far-off scenario. I agree with that. But to say, again, we're going to affect policy change that goes on for the next year or so based on something that could happen in the next few days while we're waiting from Block 1 to release this, which they said they have, and they are working on it. Last week they said it was coming out this week. So I think we should find out from them what they say in terms of if it's not coming for a month.
So what exactly is coming out this week or something like that?
The Sudo.
On-chain blacklist posting?
The Sudo.
Okay. And how does that solve the blacklist issue?
It enables the freeze command.
Freeze command in Sudo?
It enables the freeze account command, which means you no longer have to have unanimous blacklisting. Yes, no?
Are you sure about that?
No.
There's no such thing as a freeze command.
Alex, it allows us to null out the key so we don't need the blacklist. Right?
Null out the keys on an account?
That was my understanding of what Sudo was going to give us. Or one of the options. What are the things
so Sudo gives us capacity. Yeah, Sudo is powerful. It allows us to without checking any authority whatsoever. So it is true that we could null out keys for accounts, but that's pretty radical. And then we keep a copy, and then we could put it back after.
Yes.
The user can.
We still have to agree between all the block producers, I believe, or at least 15.
15. Oh, yeah.
So it would be no different.
One would imagine that there would be a properly constituted order rationalizing such.
What is that? 2/3 plus 1.
Yeah, it would be similar to what we're doing right now. Basically, if someone would come forward, say that they need their account frozen, we would get an arbitrator ruling to freeze that account. And now freezing, instead of a blacklist that is a subjective freeze, we'd have an objective freeze that goes into place that looks at the keys. Then going forward, if the account needs to be unfrozen, the user could pass us a new public key that will then be input into his account. So we won't have to store his key. He can just give us a key that we would implement into his account.
That can be complex.
We can also roll back. Just want that noted.
Yeah, just look in history and find what the old key was and put it back in place.
Roll back to existing keys.
Please don't use a phrase like roll back.
I'd assume so.
Well, also, if his key was compromised, rolling back seems a little odd.
That would be the incorrect approach, yes. But if he lost his case and his freeze was invalid, and the real owner was there the whole time saying, "Why'd you freeze my account?"
I don't think we need to discuss Sudo right now because there's not enough details into it yet, and it's not even in the agenda. Should we move on?
Thank you, Dafeng.
Yes, that's good. It's good update though.
Yes, please. Thanks for the update.
Next item was forum update. I don't know if there's anything else to be discussed on that topic we haven't discussed previously.
No update. Let's roll it out soon.
I'm sorry, before we go on, can I just clarify one point? Sorry to be such a pain in the arse here, but
No, go ahead, buddy.
If I've got on the call today, obviously we're a candidate, so I've got on the call today through the Keybase link. So I just felt like we just missed that point there. We're saying that something was just agreed where I wouldn't now be on this call.
Again, the Keybase group is strictly for security issues that are imminent. So things like, or that's what it should be used for at least. So things like a security patch that has to be rolled out right away. We need secure communication. It's not really for getting things done. The sharing of the Zoom link is another proposition that has to be put forth, which is a separate
which
topic.
is on the agenda at the end. But,
So it's not tied to.
It's kind of a little bit overlapped, aren't they? Really. So if we're saying that the Zoom link is going to be shared through some other means outside of the Keybase group, then I'm happy to move on. But if it's if we're saying it's only going to be shared within the Keybase group, then I still feel that there's an issue there.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in the agenda.
Yeah, excellent. Next item was ECAF funding info. Is anyone from ECAF on the line?
That's a great question. Let me go ping Moti really quick. We may need to move on and come back to him because we have a meeting right after this. So hold on.
Right. We have 2 items that are ECAF oriented.
Move to item 10.
I'm sorry?
Move on to item 10 then. Skip the ECAF one.
Well, the number 9 is pretty straightforward. The proposed communication method was published a couple days ago, and block producers were asked to weigh in. Hopefully everyone here has had a chance to see it.
Okay.
Where can I find a link? Sorry.
Okay,
Thomas,
it wasn't fully distributed.
I just posted a link in the chat to a Steemit article for ECAF. Is that the proposal you're talking about?
That appears to be the one, yes. And I think agenda item 9 here is to have a subgroup from this call get together, vet that, push back on it, tweak it, whatever, recommend approval, something, and then come back to the main group with some result. So I'm wondering who's interested in being part of that.
I've been unable to reach Moti.
So maybe let's move this item to our next meeting.
I can speak to number 8 briefly. One of the concerns, obviously, of the arbitration group is that they don't want to take money from somebody who might end up being a claimant or a respondent subsequently. And one thought was if a subset of, or even all block producers or a subset of block producers wanted to pool their funds in some sort of collective action group, the Right Honorable Trade Association of Block Producers, or the Block Producers Union or something, and have that collective entity make a one-time donation, it would not be directly handed from a particular block producer to ECAF. It would go through a representative group. The other possibility is if direct donations were given, they'd have to be refunded in the event that a particular block producer who had donated ended up being a claimant or a respondent within 90 days. The return of funds being a way to clear the potential for conflict. Now, I'm sure there's more, but that's what I was privy to.
Thanks for the summary, Thomas.
Okay.
I think part of that discussion will also have to be the new thing that Dan just put out yesterday, which it seems like he's trying to, basically cut the legs out from under ECAF.
At least for you have to read my reply.
Yeah. We might want to. Okay, let's see. Moti may be able to join us quickly. I don't know if he needs to add anything else. Thomas, did you feel like he did that? He's just going to join right now. We're going to run a little bit over, it looks like, and I think that's a good. We have a very good reason for that, given the time spent talking with Bancor. I think that was pretty important.
I agree.
We could move to number 10 and then come back. It doesn't look like a big item.
Yes, please.
Great. Who wants to cover this?
Was it Roger's question there?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I'll have a go, shall I? I mean, basically, it's pretty much along the same lines as the earlier item about the Keybase group, but specific to the, the Zoom link, basically, and who should get access to these calls. And if it's not everyone who's called Reg Producer, then at what point do you draw the line between somebody that's entitled to be in the call or needs to be in the call, and how do you stop that being an arbitrary decision based on, non-repeatable kind of factors.
I think my understanding is anybody who proposes an agenda can present in the call.
Yeah, so is that what everybody else thinks, though? Because it's obviously something.
Yes.
I mean, this item on the agenda, if you click on it, there's a document behind there with questions and comments, and it just doesn't seem very clear, really, where the cut-off point is between getting access to the call and not getting access to the call. And up till now, we've been getting the link from the Keybase group. So, because obviously when we had the whole live no go and everything, the demand for the seats and everything meant that the link was shielded a little bit from the world at large, because everybody wanted to be on the call. So we've got to decide, I think, exactly what criteria has to be fulfilled in order for somebody to get access to these calls. Because obviously we're a block producer candidate, we're not in a paid position, and then so you think, well, that's kind of the demarcation point. But again, like I said earlier, if somebody was to drop a whale vote on a candidate and they suddenly become a standby or a producer, you need to be kept fully up to date. But also token holders need to be able to be represented. There's lots of other arguments as well, like the block producer candidates perhaps can provide service to you guys who are having a lot to do, and we can could almost be used as a bit of a training ground for us. But I'll stop there. So I think basically we just need to get clear on who has access and how the link is distributed.
I'll note
So
that
who have objection?
too, so anybody can view. The whole world can view the call.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So,
who has objections from who has objection of sending the Zoom link in Telegram? Who objects to that?
I think the only thing to factor in is that didn't we say that this call has a maximum limit of about 200 currently that can join it? So if we do that and the channel becomes relatively insecure,
Yeah.
it's not so much about people watching it, it's the numbers then just joining because they fancy doing that. And that
It's
causes
even,
problems.
it's even actually the opposite there. What we're worried about is the actual current block producers and block producer standbys could be inadvertently shut out of the call if the capacity is reached. And so that's the only concern I think that we have, is just making sure that
to speak to that concern, if I may, whilst we were all candidates and that was, cost was something that was perhaps driving that decision to only have 200 seats. I know we had to upgrade from 100 to 200, and I don't even know who's paying for that. Maybe that's a worker proposal. But, really, I don't think that ought to come into it. I'm sure there's an upgrade above 200, isn't there, that we could look into if need be, and priority given to paid block producers. Does every person that joins the call have to get approved at the time by the call host?
Yes, pretty much everybody who joins in has to be approved by the call host. It was also, so there was that issue, and we did encounter that issue where people who should have been on the call weren't able to participate, like David just mentioned. It's also the upkeep of having a lot of people talking in the Zoom group chat and what we saw with that. Whereas if we let it to the people that were a little bit more serious on the call, we were having less issues managing. So it's the tricky balance between having it live streamed. Everybody can see that's not a problem. It's the participating in the call that was becoming an issue with having too many people join in and publicizing to the whole world.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the point I'm trying to make is that whatever the issues are, I'm sure we can find solutions for them, but the decision needs to be made, first of all, about who should have access. And if that is anyone that's run Reg Producer technically should have access. And then if there's a problem, we can, about people not being able to get in, not being enough seats and things like that, then we look for solutions to that. But I think the decision needs to be made first about, who should have access. And
what about having paid?
Can I just anybody who proposes an agenda item or has an agenda item on the next call obviously gets an invite, whether they're a community member or a block producer candidate. And then other than that, I think that
You're breaking up.
I think we've lost you there.
I think that the basic thing is I don't think we can completely resolve this today. I think we need to make sure the idea here is to be an inclusive community and make sure that the first part of if we're going with radiating circles out, the circle of people that must be on the call are those people who are actively producing or on standby for blocks. And then, of course, anyone else, certainly what we want to be able to be inclusive for that. So we'll work out a way to make sure that we can do that. And then also we want to reduce the spamming of the channels, et cetera. So I'm not certain we can resolve that right now immediately.
Can I propose something? I'd like to propose that, Roger, if you want, you draft a document with this sort of rules of the openness of this thing. Like, since it's your concern, and I think it is a concern, maybe you can draft the rules and share the link later on with people who are from the community and give a timeline or something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've kind of started that. I don't know if you've seen, but in the agenda there is a link you can click through.
Yeah, your proposal was that someone else should make a proposal for why people should be excluded, and I totally agree. I totally agree. Just if you make a proposal like we were saying, what will it cost to add more Zoom participant links? That's a constructive proposal. But your proposal that you're linking to, that at least unless it was changed overnight, that for me was someone else should present a proposal why it should be excluded.
Yeah. So basically, I'm trying to make the point that if you want to exclude. Then that needs to be proposed, because at the moment I'm here, and so therefore, if you don't want me here, and other people like me, candidates.
So, are you a paid candidate?
No, we're unpaid at this stage. Yeah, number 80 maybe.
Okay, so maybe you can put up a proposal that makes sense for the whole structure. Maybe including the paid cliff and the unpaid cliff, and with the reg producer. And with the fact that open community members, like the mayor's office, can be open sometime, maybe a little process for people to jump in at the end of the call, 15 minutes, if there are important propositions, voted on.
Yeah, I'm happy to champion it. It's just really wanted to make sure that as we're suggesting, it's inclusive as opposed to, certain people being excluded.
Yeah. Well,
first, make it that way.
Thank you for this. I think we spent already enough time on that topic, and we need to give some time to Modi who joined the call.
Yes, Modi, please, if you want to address 8 and 9. If you're still here. Moti, are you still here?
Moti.
Uh-oh.
He's there.
He was on. I wonder if his microphone is just not working.
Give me once. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
Hello?
Yes.
I muted you.
All right. Just give me one moment. I change my microphone, yes?
No problem. 82 persons waiting.
All right. Very quickly.
I think you're fine. We can hear you just fine. You may have just been muted by the host.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So in terms of agenda items 8, yes. So the ECAF funding info, that is the item we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Items 8 and 9, please.
All right. Okay. So I'll start quickly with 9 because that's easier to get out. But we've proposed on Steemit. There's a proposal made around how we'll communicate. The gist of it is that we will have a central store of rulings and orders on the ECAF website, and that will include a hash of those files. And then we propose that we link to we send out the link via an on-chain memo or transaction, and also via Steemit blog post. So link and send out a link and a hash to the file on the ECAF website. So that's the proposal. I noticed that there's a subgroup suggestion to form a subgroup. So I'm happy to participate in with whoever BPs want to be involved in that subgroup. Okay. So yeah, so that's
the group. Is it on Telegram?
Okay, so you would like me to form it. So yeah, that's fine. I can do that. What's the best place to let people know of the location of the link of the group? Sorry.
Yeah, probably at the EMLG or some other Telegram group.
Okay. All right. So I'll reach out to you, Roshan, because I believe I'm not a member of the EMLG Telegram group. So somebody will just need to invite me. But I'll link up with it if it's okay, I'll link up with you to get an invite, and then I'll create the group after that.
So, sounds good. Does that address both 8 and 9?
No, that's address point 9.
Okay, and then point 8, because we're running late here. So. Did we lose Modi again on his microphone?
Modi shows us muted. There he is. He's unmuted.
Right. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so apologize for that. I was just saying that around point 8, we've got a proposal that we're getting signed off internally. As soon as that is done, I will share it as well on the EMLG Telegram group.
Sounds like that addresses it.
Great.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
Thanks so much, Modi, for joining and answering those questions at the last minute. I apologize for not inviting you sooner.
Sure, no problem.
Great. Well, I guess that.
Thank you.
That covers all we had for today.
I wanted to add, I put in chat, but I didn't say out loud that I did check with Bart and Arhag. The sudo command is expected to be released by Block 1 to the community for testing on July 3rd, or on or about July 3rd.
Okay, so next week. Great. Thanks for the update.
Can I add a question in the final?
Very, very quick question.
Okay. What happened in June 26, 0 days ago? I think everybody knows. It's the thing about the blacklist and the US store, and a user token has been stolen, and that user that man won't reply from the community. I'd like to hear your opinions. And what do you think we should do or do nothing?
Simon, how about we talk to you offline in a small group?
Okay.
For your opinion. With the whole committee will not force you to do anything.
Yeah, I'm just saying that right now I think we need a longer discussion on this, and we're already over time. So, but it's a great topic. I mean, I agree.
And Simon, thank you for asking the question. I really appreciate that.
Folks, we need to sync a system upgrade, system contract upgrade. We need to sync on that. Last note.
Yes.
Great. All right. Well, thank you guys. I think that was a really good meeting, really efficient. We've been a bit overboard 15 minutes, but it's not too bad. I think we're getting really good at this. So
Matthew, thank you so much for hosting.
That's a pleasure. I'll be uploading the recording on YouTube. And anyways, the live stream is also available. And we'll also be putting the agenda for the next meeting on Thursday.
All righty.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye bye. Hi. Bye bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you all.
Bye.